Tom here, Flip Anything USA. So today on my channel is a Grant Cardone and Kris Krohn video. Kris Krohn put this together, multifamily versus single family properties. I happen to own both, and I've made money on both, made millions on both. First time viewer here, please stick around, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I share a ton of information about how I've made my fortune, and all of it would be useful to you. So check it out.
Stop and listen. Time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything USA. Go.
All right, so I have a mentorship if you haven't noticed. I also have a book, been a bestseller on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I definitely urge you to take a look at it. It'd be the best 10, 20 bucks you ever spent. And by the way, I think you can get a refund on it if you don't like it, but the fact is you're going to love it. In fact, even on my mentorship, by the way, this is something neither of these guys offer that I'm aware of. I have a 72-hour money-back guarantee. So you can get into my class, and if you don't love it, and I'm telling you, if you don't love it, you can get out. So you can get in there, be in there for 72 hours, and if you don't love what you see, love what you learn, then you can just get out. I don't want your money, to be quite honest. If you don't have a passion for it, it's probably not for you. But you'll develop it. The one thing I found is after people asked me to do a mentorship, after I wrote the book, what I found out is it's 100% teachable. With the mentoring, it's like you're on steroids, learning. People say it's like, it's like drinking from a fire hose, the amount of information you get. And I teach every bit of it. I got hundreds of hours of information, and there are hundreds of hours of me teaching class, answering questions, walking you through. I've got several millionaires in the class. Just since taking the class, this gentleman here, he's made over $1 million. This gentleman here has made over $1 million here. This guy here has made more than $2 million. This gentleman just made his first $1 million. And this gal here, she's doing fantastic. She's already made, as of this video, she made $70,000. I think she's made quite a bit more since then. I got a bunch more testimonials, and all people that you'll have the pleasure of meeting when you get in the mentorship. You get to see these people and interact, and it's a wonderful thing. And there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. Everybody's on the same side. Everybody's doing the same thing in just different parts of the country. And anyways, urge you to check it out. Let's start with this Kris Krohn, Grant Cardone video. I'm going to watch this, and I will react to it, and I will give you my thoughts.
About multifamily versus single-family homes. Let's see how it winds up.
Kris Krohn, he thinks highly of himself as an investor. I do not. He seems to me like he's somebody that is just simply fishing for people to invest with him, and I feel the same way about Grant. But let's take a look at where they go with this.
Why multifamily rather than just investing in your house?
Grant, really good question. I'm going to argue for single-family home for a couple of main reasons. It's an easier entry point for the average American. If you get into multifamily, you need a lot more money, and you're going to be taking on a lot more risk, and you're going to be putting a lot more eggs in the basket, and a lot more eggs in the basket. And that's not necessarily bad, but it is important that you are taking on a size of investment that makes sense for where you're at. And so if I had a chance between having all of my money wrapped in one project or having 10 little single-family projects, I think especially for the beginner, even the novice or even the intermediate, having those 10 homes, there's some advantages you get there that you may lose out on once you step into the bigger risk of multifamily. Okay.
So he's counting on novice investors. Both these guys really kind of rely on novice, newbie investors because they are ignorant of how to manage their money and how to do things. I like to train you, to teach you how to manage your own money so you don't have to have a partner like Kris and don't have a partner like Grant. But let's go ahead and take a look at Grant's pitch for multifamily.
There's almost 100 million baby boomers. There's 80 million millennials. These are boomers. Now, what do these two groups have in common? They're on both ends of the age spectrum, called a demographic, right? We don't have a developed middle class today. You understand? We already did that. That was done 50 years ago. So when these people, these 100 million baby boomers, were at 30 and 35 years old, they started buying homes, okay? They were also having babies at 20. What else has happened is you got 80 million millennials saying, I don't need a house, dude. I need mobility.
That's horseshit. Listen, everybody wants to own their own home. You know, that's like the American dream, is to own your own property. You know, Grant's pitch here is everybody wants to rent. And what Grant does is he tells everybody, rent, don't buy, rent, don't buy. But he's got a home for himself.
Told you, sell your homes. I told you guys, if you got a house, sell it.
He's somebody that doesn't live, he doesn't walk his talk, is what I'll say. Let's keep watching.
I don't care if I got a house.
Grant, you're right. Multifamily is a really great solution for the baby boomers and the millennials, but there's a bigger gap than just that. Yes.
See, he's politely backslapping him. That's what I don't like about these kind of YouTubers. You know, it's kind of like thick as thieves. Thieves can't rat each other out if they're after the same product or after the same victims. You know, and I'm not saying these guys are thieves. I have students in my class that have been with both of these guys. And, you know, one's upset. I got some that paid $997. They're upset with Kris. They're not happy with what they got. Others, even worse, they paid $5,000 to Kris, and they're very upset. And, you know, and that's the problem. You know, I have the thing I say, easy to do, hard to undo. Easy to do, hard to undo. I teach that to all my students. It's like a walking mantra. You should always just say that to yourself every day, especially before you do something. Easy to do, hard to undo, because these guys wish they could undo what they did, and they can't. And you know, that's the problem. You know, sometimes you get into something you can't get out. That's why I have a 72-hour money-back guarantee. Our success is shared. Grant Cardone, same here. I have a guy that very upset in my class. He said he paid Grant $7,500. He was very unhappy. He said you just absolutely saw Grant at his worst. In fact, I made a video where I kind of caught Grant at his worst. He said, no, that's the guy I know. That's the guy I know.
If that's you and you got a good attitude, you ain't a little bitch, you ain't a little baby, you ain't crybaby, you ain't stupid baby, you ain't dumb. Yeah, I need my money. I got to buy a Rolex.
And it's unfortunate. The thing is that what kills me the most is I hate to see young people blow their seed capital. And I can tell you right now, there's another guy that he borrowed $2,000 from his in-laws and $2,000 from his parents, and then he put in $1,000, between him and his wife, and bought Kris's course, and then immediately regretted it. And according to him, some guy named Nathan sold it to him. Kris, if you're watching, I want to talk to Nathan about this. Anyways, he said he didn't get any support, and he said he tried to get out immediately after joining, and they wouldn't let him out. So that's like you just lost your seed capital. And to be honest, I wouldn't have let this kid I wouldn't even let him take my mentorship. I wouldn't have let him. I'd say, look, you got $1,000. You don't have enough money. I would have told him, stick to the book, watch the free stuff. You can make some money just watching my stuff here for free. And I go, but I wouldn't have even let him in. I don't let you have to fill out a mentorship survey to get in my class. If you don't look good, I don't look good. And that's why I have such a high success rate. And I urge you to, like and subscribe. But number one, subscribe. Stick around and you'll learn a lot because I've done a lot. But let's go ahead and watch the rest of this.
It's 100 million here. Yes, 80 million there. But look at all the families that are out there that are saying, I want the American dream. I want my own house. I do think there's room for both strategies here.
Okay, so now keep in mind, one's making a pitch for him to invest in multifamily, and the properties that Grant points you to are properties that he couldn't buy by himself, you couldn't buy by yourself, so he proposes to buy these properties and utilize you as part of the financing. He uses a lot of unaccredited investors. From what I understand, last time I heard him talk, he said he had 3,200 investors, but I don't think I'd seen even one testimonial. But let's keep watching.
But for me, I believe that there's a much better market space for the entry-level family, people that have 1, 2, 3 kids, and they're saying, hey, we want a place of our own. We want our own lawn. We want our own backyard. We want a place that we can do up. And you lose some of those freedoms when you go into multifamily. A lot of people, sure, there's some freedom that comes with the apartment feeling and the
Well, he's kind of convoluting the subject, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, he's referring to people want their own home to live in their own home as opposed to living in an apartment. The topic is investing in multifamily, not necessarily living in multifamily. Kind of convoluting it with the American dream is wanting to own a home, which I agree with him on that, but he kind of backpedals on that. Just wait, watch.
Condominium and the HOA, and maybe you pick up, some of the benefits or pool access or a hot tub jacuzzi or something like that. But single family home is still very core to what it is to be American. And I think there's a greater population, a larger number of people that are seeking that right now.
Buy a house for 200
And I agree that with him, people want to own their own home.
grand, or buy an apartment for 200 grand. Okay? Okay? I'll tell you, it's simple. Pick the one that makes you money. Not in the future. Pick the one that makes you money this month.
Okay, so listen, he does have a point on this, and because look, I own both. I buy houses, but when I buy a house, listen, just keep in mind, there is no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. Don't make a bad deal, and you'll make money on either one of them. But in his example, he's talking about a house for 200 grand as opposed to an apartment for 200 grand. Let's just say you get 9% return on your apartment property. You know, you can leverage that. You know, you can probably make 25% on your money. If you put $50,000 down, you know, you could probably, turn that into 50,000 down. Finance 75% of it. You'd make $4,500 a year on your money that you put down, and then you would make as much on the balance, assuming that you got a loan for just say half of 9%. At 4.5%, you'd make the other 4.5 would be the delta. So you'd make 4.5% on basically 1.5 times money. So you'd end up making about $6,750 plus your $4,500. So you'd end up making about $10,000 a year. Okay, so Grant is saying a house $200,000 opposed to an apartment for $200,000. You can make money on either. You just got to buy them under market. But what he's saying is that on the apartment you're going to get a set amount of cash. Look, when you buy apartments, what sets the value of an apartment, the price, is the return. Let's just say you expect a 6 to 9% return. So all the apartments are going to sell for a price that roughly gives between a 6 and 9% return. Now, a house doesn't have that kind of requirement. A house is an emotional purchase. People buy it, for schools, so their kids can live in a good school district, make friends, have friends for the rest of their life on that street while they go through school. A lot of great things about homes, that are about family, and which is very important. You don't necessarily live in an apartment complex with your kids. It's not the best place to live in any environment that I've seen. Using this, pitting house against apartments, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. You can make money on both. But he's talking about as far as cash flow goes, at $200,000, you can still make money on a house at $200,000. So this isn't the best example, because what happens is you have diminishing returns when you buy houses over $300,000, over $400,000. They don't just double. You don't get twice as much for a $400,000 home as you do a $200,000 home when it comes to rent. So, but you can do fine on a $200,000 home. But overall, I would agree with him that cash flow is better on apartments.
I can get this one to cash flow, and I get a check every month. If you don't like money, give the money to your church.
Yeah, it's a stupid statement, but you still would get a check, and it would be about the same for houses or apartments.
But the house, you never, ever get a check from. The checks go to the house, not to you.
No, listen, they both come to you, and you pay your mortgage, and then what's left is what you got. And these aren't good numbers. If he was talking about, if he was talking about a $2 million property as opposed to a house, this would be a better argument.
You get it? Simple.
I have no idea what you're talking about. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
I agree with him on that. It's a good argument. Grant Cardone is terrible with numbers, what I've witnessed. He's really terrible with numbers.
I've never done apartments. I've only ever done single families. And I'm sorry, the checks come straight to me. It's just straightforward real estate investing. So I may have missed something in what you're really trying to communicate there. But an apartment, is it going to appreciate as well as a house? No. Is a house going to...
Now, that's not necessarily true. Now, you can do better on a house, but again, you can make a mistake on both. You have to buy it right. Like I say, there's no bad real estate. There's just bad deals.
Going to bring me more dollar per dollar rent than an apartment? Yes. Am I going to get someone that's interested in home ownership where I can do a lease option where they'll actually take better care of the house and apartment? Absolutely.
And that's not an absolute. So, but see, this is what I was talking about where he's hedging. Chris earlier was talking about everybody wants to own a home and have it be the American dream. But now he's explaining that buying a home in order to rent the home, now he's making it a rental. But before he's talking about ownership. Now he's kind of mixing in this lease with option to buy. That's going to make your tenant better. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you, you want a tenant to take care of your property. You only let somebody in that has a very good credit rating, because a tenant that has a very good credit rating, That's the goal. That's what they don't want to jeopardize. And so you only let people rent from you that have an excellent credit, and that's what they don't want to screw up. That's what you hold over their heads.
Just add up those three things alone, Grant, and I'm sorry, there's going to be more money coming into you on a single-family home versus multifamily.
You're going to own one house. I own 4,000 apartments, okay? How could you own 4,000 houses? You're going to go do 4,000 different deals?
Again, it's not a fair example. You're not going to pay as much per unit. An apartment's a 1 or 2 bedroom unit. A house is obviously a 3. Usually 3 to 4 bedrooms. Some 2 bedrooms, of course. So it's not. Neither one of them are really playing straight. Well, let's keep watching.
I probably did 18 deals to buy 4,000 apartments. 3 of my deals don't cash flow. 3 out of the 18 don't cash flow right now.
And that's not good. Now here's the deal with Grant. What I've seen from him is he solicits money from other people to get the down payment to buy a property, and then he splits the proceeds with you, plus he takes a management fee and I think some other fees as well. So Grant, it's a no-lose situation because he can get a $10 million fund and he might take even 2, 3, 4%. So he can make anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 a year just managing it. And so even if it doesn't cash flow or do particularly well, he gets a nice check. It has nothing to do with the appreciation of the property. It has nothing to do with the cash flow of the rents, other than it's paying this bill that he's created. He becomes part of the expense to you if you're a partner with him.
But I'm in rehab, okay? I'm rehabbing them. 2 of them don't know, okay? But they will someday. That house, no chance. That house will ever, no matter.
It's a stupid argument.
What you do it, okay? Spit on it, shine it, buff it, okay?
See, I think Grant, he talks to such novice people that he thinks he can just say absolutely anything that comes out of his mouth. But if he's confronted with somebody that knows what they're doing, then he just looks stupid. And but the problem is if you don't know what you don't know, and so you listen to him, and he's kind of a charismatic guy. He can make an argument that might mesmerize a novice.
We'll never write you a monthly check.
That is such a bizarre assertion that a house cannot produce a cash flow, cannot produce an income for you. But I will say I do like your idea of 18 deals and having 4,000 units. I'd have to see the numbers on that and see what that looks like. But Grant, you're Grant Cardone, and we're talking about everyday average Americans. And I guess the question at the end of the day is, are you really trying to appeal to someone that has a lot of money, a lot of success, and trying to do something? For me,
neither one of them are looking for high-dollar individuals that I've seen. I haven't seen any. Both of them seem to always are trying to hustle money from the novices. And actually, that's what they're good at, but that's not what they teach. They don't teach how to hustle novices, but that's really what they know better than anything. But again, this is where I think you're going to see Kris start to switch into the rental mode. Like, these are things to rent. And like I said, you don't need either one of these guys. And I'll show you real quickly. So check this out. Actually, we'll just go ahead and look at this right now. So look, remember earlier Grant said compare a $200,000 apartment. So this is, I paid $130,000 for this apartment right here. Okay. This is 13 units. I paid $10,000 a unit. I sold this property for $55,000 a unit. So I made over $500,000 profit on this property. Now I bought the sister property across the street. This is another one. This is 21 units. I paid $210,000 for it. Again, sold it for $55,000 a unit. I made over $1 million just on this property alone. This one I made about $500,000. And here's another one actually I bought too. I flipped this one fairly quickly. This one was called Plaza del Norte. And this is another apartment building that I bought. And this one, actually I held this for a very short amount of time, but I think I paid $400,000 and I sold it for $565,000. Made $200,000 relatively quickly on this thing. Let's go back to the video. And this is where Kris, I think, is going to start talking about, well, you'll see.
I'm just starting out with the newbies. And even some of the most experienced people, Grant, will say absolutely.
Listen to that.
For me, I'm just starting out with the newbies. And
that's the key, okay? Newbies beware, okay? Newbies beware. Both of these guys are counting on the newbies. The newbies, the unsophisticated. In Grant's case, he counts on a lot of unaccredited investors. I don't like it.
Even some of the most experienced people, Grant, will say absolutely 4,000 houses versus 4,000 doors. And again, let's just talk about the reasons why. Right now, at the end of the day, with a house, I get appreciation that I don't get on apartments. With a house, I can put a homeowner in there that will take better care of it than an apartment.
Now, that's true about the appreciation, but saying he's going to have to take better care of it, that's not a fair argument. And you got to remember this. For every 10 doors on an apartment, maybe even 20 doors, you have the same amount of expense on landscaping on a house as you do on every 10 to 20 doors of an apartment. So there's a lot more expense involved with maintaining a house, and I'm talking about landscaping and that sort of thing, because somebody's got to do the lawn, somebody's got to take care of it, and one way or another, it's got to come out of the rent or whatever. But it's an additional expense.
That's just transitory often, and they're in and they're out, and you're going to see a lot more turnover with that.
I don't even know if that's true, to be honest. I've had apartment dwellers stay. I bought apartment buildings and maybe had one person turn over in many years, and I've had houses where people they come in for 2 years and they leave in 2 years. So I don't think that's a fair argument. I think they're about the same.
When I'm doing a lease option, I can collect down payments on these houses. I can get people taking care of the houses in different ways.
So it's true. If you give somebody a lease with option to buy, sure, you can do that. You can even do that with apartments, by the way. You can condoize apartments. You can actually take an apartment building and you can just turn it into condos, and you can create an association, and you can sell the individual units too. So not much credibility on this argument either.
With an apartment, you have utilities that you have to pass on to them. With a house, I can have them put it in their name, and I can have them take ownership and accountability.
Listen, most apartments people have an electric meter. If they have gas, they'll have a gas meter too. But most apartments, they pay their own utilities. The only thing they have that's shared is the shared water meter, and that just gets added to the rent anyways.
For what that looks like. Appreciation. This is such a big one. I got my equity that I walk into, which, Grant, I can do on houses, and I get the appreciation component. So you add all that up.
Yeah, so the deal is you will, on average, make a better return on your investment, cash flow-wise, from the apartments. But, of course, if you're buying into a big fund and somebody's taking a bunch of money off the top in management fees, which Grant does some of that, it's negligible. And then same thing with Chris. You put up all the money to buy a house. You don't need Chris. And that seems to be his model, because if you ever get ensnared in a Kris Krohn email chain, you will see that he hammers you on finding out, do you have any equity in your home? Do you have equity in your home? Can you pull the equity out of your home and invest with me? I mean, that would seem to be the message. You're going to pull the equity out of your home. Guess what? Now you got a second mortgage payment on your house. Okay. And now this money goes over and buys a house with Chris. And now Chris gets to enjoy the spoils with you, but it's based on your deposit, from what I understand. He can explain otherwise if that's not true.
And there's a reason why it made me multimillionaire by the age of 26. And I won't say that you can't do that with apartments, because the reality is I'm super inexperienced, and apparently this is your niche. So there's got to be a way to do it.
I actually think both these guys are super inexperienced as investors. Now, you don't have to be very talented to buy a property and then rent it out. And especially if you're buying a property with other people's money for the deposit, and now you just borrow in the balance from a bank. The bank's going to loan you. You put 25% down. The bank will loan you the money. They don't care where you got the money. It doesn't take any particular talent to buy a property. If you're putting 25% down money, especially when it came from somebody else, you got no sweat in the game, right? You don't really have anything in the game other than you're just taking a piece of everybody else's action. And that's why it's so lucrative when these guys, buy hundreds or thousands of houses and use other people's money to buy it, and then they're just standing around waiting for it to go up in value. And then when they sell it, Chris will take, he'll split it. I don't know if he takes half or 60%. I have no idea. I never get into those details that I've seen. In fact, he rarely even talks about the subject of having people buy with him. Usually it's just all this fluff. And then it's go to the links below, and then the hard salespeople end up calling you and bothering you to, do certain things. And same with Grant. Same story I've heard from both.
Do it well and do it successfully, and it's working well for you. I think at the end of the day, I'm really just taking a stand for the common, everyday person like me that started out with nothing, that says, how do I get somewhere? And right now, if I were to step into an apartment unit that had hundreds of...
Okay, listen. There's money in both. I just showed you where I made $1.5 million on $340,000 invested.
Units associated with it. We're talking about a multi-million, probably in the tens of millions dollar kind of deal. And you know what? those deals absolutely can work. There's a reason why Donald Trump rose up multi-billionaire all over again buying Sky.
Yeah, see, I mean, Kris is just basically, again, he does the same thing. He's kind of doing the same thing, but for a different reason. He's pulling these multi-million dollar deals. They're so big that, of course, you can't afford to buy them without grant. Because you're a noob, you should be buying something that costs much less. The fact is, you can buy either. You just shouldn't do it with. You don't need a partner. You don't need a partner. If you need a partner, use your best friend or your buddy, not somebody that's going to take a management fee off the top.
Skyscrapers. Do I think that the average American can step in that way? No. And maybe I could have, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think Kris clearly explains how he makes his money. In this video, I know he doesn't.
And what I'm doing is working. It's certainly not broken. So multifamily, single family, I will say I think you can make both of them work. But at the end of the day, you got to get into reality. What is more likely? Where are you going to have your greatest likelihood of success? And right now, if I had to put 10 of you on a multi-million-dollar apartment, or 10 of you on an entry-level single-family home, and let's just say that they cash flowed the same and the growth was the same, which one's more realistic? I think for you and I, the more realistic thing might be the easier to step into project.
He says for you and I, because he doesn't know anything about apartments, so I guess that makes sense for him. But to include you in that, he's already he wants you to be his partner. He wants you to bring the money to the table. That's what I don't like about Kris Krohn. That's what I don't like about Grant Cardone. Aside from the fact that their courses, like I said, I got a lot of people in my class, my course, that had paid for their courses, and they wouldn't be in mine if they had good results from theirs, is all I can say. But we'll keep watching.
Which is single family. And that for me will put it heads or tails over something that I'm going to promote and try to help you with, to make sure that you actually have a good shot of really getting started, as opposed to dragging your feet or coming up with reasons why that project's too big, it scares me, if I lose on it, I might lose everything, as opposed to something that, it's like an elephant. You can take it down one bite at a time. Right now, that's a herd of elephants, and that's a big project to take down. So for me, I'm just asking myself, at the end of the day, assuming everything was equal, which one's more realistic?
Yeah, here's the deal. If you gave Kris Krohn $50,000 to go invest on a piece of property, and you gave $50,000 to Grant Cardone, I think it's the same result for you. You have no control over the asset. You have no control over the asset because you just signed on as a partner, and they're the ones holding the reins. That's the mistake I see for people that invest this way. And I'm not just saying these guys. In general, I think it's a terrible way to go. Hey, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like this content. Also, check out my page, flipanythingusa.com, and take a look here. These are mentees. I've got several multimillionaires in my class, and this happened in a very short time. This gentleman here has got like $4 million worth of property, $900,000 debt. I got Rich in here somewhere. He's made over $1 million. Garrett, he's made hundreds of thousands that I'm aware of. Liam here's made $550,000. Eric here's already made his first $1 million. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And, I can tell you, I was reluctant to ever teach people to do real estate and make money the way I do because I was afraid it was going to take too much hand-holding. But once they got my book and then they got into the mentorship, it took them a long ways very quickly. And that's why I offer, you can see above my head here, this is a mentorship. And by the way, these guys don't even like to talk about the money that they're going to try to extract from you after they get your email. I tell you right now, this is what I got. I'm proud of it. I keep making friends all over the world, not just all over the USA, all over the world. People are absorbing and learning from me, and it's a wonderful thing because, it just helps to have somebody you can talk to, and that's what you get from me. Every Saturday, or nearly every single Saturday, I do a live Zoom meeting, and I take questions from all my students that have a question. Some not every student's there. It's not always hundreds of people at once. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 30, sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 50. But I'm available, and people have my text. They can contact me if they got an issue they need to talk about. I call it critical support because you're going to be so smart by the time you get through my course. You're going to know more than both these guys, to be honest, more than both of them combined. Let's get back to the video, and we'll wrap this up.
I'm going to go with the single family house. So did you like the style of this video? Is there anyone else that you want to pit me against? Because I'm not afraid to go toe to toe and have a conversation about what is best. I may not always be right, but I certainly got strong opinions, and it's going to be based on track.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that up. And he says it's going to be up on.
And facts.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Chris. I'm happy to go toe to toe with you. We can do a live, and we can go through historical stuff on houses, apartments, because I've done both, and we can compare it. I've actually owned both, so we can look at my portfolio. We can actually look at what I've done historically. We can take a look at, how well does it work out for a person with a partner splitting the money as opposed to somebody that does it on their own. Hey, a good video, Chris. I appreciate the video, appreciate the comparison. Those of you that just got in here, go to flipanythingusa.com, check it out, get the book, and here, take a look at some more of my successful clientele. It's really a perfect storm for making money in that respect. But in 1 year, his portfolio has gone from zero to $1.6 million. You really got 30, 22?
Yeah, I think I got 27, yeah.
27 properties. You got 27 properties. John, you have to buy that. That is a great property.
I just closed on 2 houses yesterday. It's worth $250. I bought that one for $170.
My first millionaire, my first millionaire student. I don't want to screw around. I don't want to play games going back and forth. What is the absolute bottom dollar? And I'll tell you if I'm going to buy it or not.